Hello and welcome to another episode of the Startup Operator Roundup. I'm Roshan and I also have Gunjan Saha, who's wearing shades for some reason.
Well, don't you know that with the recent developments, our future seems so damn bright?
I mean, you're talking about Chandrayaan and UPI in France and so on.
Yes.
But what about gaming?
Man, you had to say that. Well, yeah, of course, it's not a good time to be in the gaming industry with the new regulations proposed by the government. But if you are a former employee with Flipkart, then of course, a great week for you.
Yeah.
Flipkart recently announced its $700 million ESOPs payout, which is probably the largest I think we've seen till date.
Yeah, I spent all of this weekend trying to figure if I have any Flipkart contacts, right? I mean, you guys owe us a party.
Along with that, the government last week announced that there's going to be a 28% tax for online gaming, and this makes no distinction between a game of chance or a game of skill.
Yeah, I mean, there's an easier way to say F off, right? Basically. But yeah, I mean,
And with, of course, the buzz around generative AI still continuing, Wipro has launched a program called AI 360 and have also announced a $1 billion investment to develop AI capabilities internally. Along with that, we have some really interesting fundraise news, even though movement in the funding space has really slowed down, but we'll get to that. Roshan, you mentioned, that France is now soon going to adopt UPI, and of course, the whole Chandrayaan 3 launch was successful.
yeah.
I mean, some really great times ahead.
Fantastic. I mean, and I'm not even talking about the very comprehensive win that we had versus West Indies in cricket, right, by innings and something, which doesn't happen too often these days anyway. But yeah, Chandrayaan 3 was, at least the launch has been successful. I certainly had my fingers crossed and was really praying that it goes well. And it's still not done, right? The mission is only successful after like a 30 or 40 day period when the rover gets all of the data and stuff. And so there is still a lot left. So keep your prayers going, right? ISRO scientists deserve all of the kudos. Last time, I think when Chandrayaan 2, when the mission failed, I still remember very vividly Prime Minister Modi consoling K. Sivan, the ISRO chief at that time, right? So yeah, let's hope that all of the blood, sweat and tears, results in a resounding success. And did you know how much it costed us?
So 1/4 of what it costed to make Avengers.
I mean,
But it's for a budget of 600 crores, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly, right? Just about 600 crores. This again, right? I mean, is a sign of the times to come. I think over the next 5 or 10 years, you're going to see that India's space industry is going to mature big time, right? I mean, barring maybe SpaceX at this point of time, we are the cheapest and most efficient, most competitive. Now with venture money coming in as well, I think the space industry is all set to take off. I think even geographically also, right? We are very well suited. Yeah. Sriharikota, again, if you look at the latitude, longitude, it's very ideally suited to launch satellites and so on. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, right? I hope that kids are looking at this and, decide to become rocket scientists themselves. And think about it, right? India is at a per capita $2,000 or $2,500 right now. And if you look at all the rest of them, whether it's the US, China, or Russia, I mean, they're all way ahead of us, materially, but we continue to invest in science. So my personal dream is that, we send a man on the moon, pretty soon. It's been, I think, 50 plus years long due. I think we should go and see what's up there.
I mean, so India is, if this mission is successful, India will become the first country to land on the south pole of the moon. Right, I think that's something, right? And of course, there are reports which show there are like 100 or 1,000 million tons of water found there. This is from a previous Chandrayaan mission, so should be exciting.
See, I mean, this is what it does, right? I mean, it gets everyone interested in space, and I think that's a damn fine thing, right? Because all of the technologies that we develop for space tend to kind of trickle down value chain, right? And who knows? I mean, you might find it in your cars, you might find it in your household appliances, and so on. So fantastic stuff. Also, Prime Minister Modi was in France last week, his second major trip in about 2 or 3 weeks. He was in the US earlier. And there are a lot of good stuff happening on that front also, right? France has been a very reliable partner for us. Even when the nuclear tests happened in Pokhran, they refused to sanction us, and they've been understanding of our stance on the whole Russia-Ukraine situation now as well. And they've been a very good defense partner, right? With all of those Rafale jets that we've got from them, they are a very close strategic ally. And apart from that, UPI was launched in France. So yeah, Indian tourists, can definitely pay in rupee, right, through UPI in France. And that's amazing, right? I mean, you're seeing, how many countries are now adopting it, whether it's Singapore, France, I think a few Middle Eastern countries as well. So all in all, a spectacular week for sure, if you're not in gaming.
All right, so let's kick this off with some really good news, right? Flipkart has finally closed off the process of paying out ESOPs to its employees. The whole ESOP pool amounted close to $700 million. And guess what? The top 20 employees, guess how much money they got?
I would guess a few $1 million each.
$200 million. Damn. So yeah, this was, probably the largest one-time cash payout at an Indian new age tech startup. Back in 2020, we saw a lot of companies pay out ESOPs. Right? So can you help us understand, why do companies do this and, what do employees have to gain?
Well, obviously, ESOPs are a great tool for retention, and it keeps employees vested in the company's success as well. So a payout of this standard, this level has never happened in India, right? Obviously, I mean, I'm discounting, whatever Infosys and all of those folks, actually just Infosys, right? Created a lot of wealth for people. If you live in Bangalore, you'll hear of some story of, NRNs, drivers, someone who made some X amount of crores through the Infi IPO and whatnot, right? And so this is amazing. 700 million is no small deal, right? And I think about 15 or 20,000 employees have got this.
30,000.
30,000 employees have got the benefit of this. I really hope that a lot more people graduate the Maslow pyramid and start, working on more important problems, are, free of all the constraints of managing their daily lives, and they can take a few more risks. I hope we'll see a lot more entrepreneurs, which oddly enough has been happening for a while now, right? I mean, Flipkart has a great mafia in terms of startup founders and so on, right? I mean, we've had a few of them. I mean, I recollect Pramod of Unbox Robotics, right? I mean, he was an ex-Flipkart person. Time to reach out to him. But yeah, I mean, a lot of folks have become entrepreneurs post Flipkart, right? And that's fantastic. I mean, really kudos to Sachin and Binny and also Kalyan Krishnamurthy as well, the current CEO. This also, I think, clears the way for spinning off PhonePe into its own massive entity, which it is, right? I mean, I was at an event organized by Money Control a couple of weeks back, and Samir, who's the CEO of PhonePe, was asked if he's planning to list, and he said definitely not under these market conditions, right? One thing that we've learned over the last 18 months or so is that obviously public market investors don't take on that kind of venture risk, right? I mean, they're less forgiving of these things. And more importantly, what he said was that a few of these experiments, they want to have the independence to play it out, right? Whatever business experiments they do, and not be bound by any quarter kind of pressures, right? So fantastic stuff. And if you're a Flipkart employee, congrats to you.
I have to ask this, right? Given the entire sentiment in the ecosystem, right, with downsizing going on, with valuations being cut, what about the whole timing of this ESOP payouts? Now, I know that the whole process of the separation and this whole announcement that ESOPs will be being paid was announced in December of 2022, but again, given the current market sentiments, what do you make of it?
No, it's a long, tedious process. You can't time these things, right? Even the listing also, I think it's a year and a half process. So these things cannot be timed. Believe me, I mean, if people could time it, I mean, they would figure a better way to do stuff, right? So it's a happy coincidence. And for once, I mean, apart from all of the layoffs and, all the corporate governance issues and everything, we have some positive news to celebrate in recent times. So yeah, we should all be very happy about that. Yeah.
All right, talking of positive news, let's talk about the new online gaming tax. The GST Council decided...
Positive news?
Well, some are claiming it to be positive, but I think it's pretty much open for a debate. So let us know.
Not open to a debate. It sucks.
Okay, let's get to the news. The GST Council decided that a uniform 28% tax would be levied on the full value of the bets placed in case of online gaming, without any differentiation between games of skill and games of chance. Earlier, only 18% GST was applicable on the platform fee charged for games of skill. As such, the increase in GST would be around 1,000% under the new tax rules. Now, the government claims that the online gaming is a source of user harm and money laundering, and the tax serves a social and economic purpose. But that is not a view which is shared by the industry, as it argues that the tax is unfair and discriminatory and it will hurt the growth and innovation of the sector. Now, what struck out to me is that when the government decided to tax crypto, we saw a decline in crypto in the country. We saw a decline in the crypto innovations. Now we know that the gaming industry has withstood the downsizing and valuation cuts. That's one of the few industries which actually did fairly well compared to others. And now with 1,000% increase in taxes.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Like I said, I mean, there's an easier way to say FU to an industry, right? I have my own personal reservations about gaming and so on, right? I mean, I think I've seen a lot of lives ruined by this kind of stuff, right? Let's put it that way. This whole game of skill, game of chance has been going around for quite some time. States have sought to ban it, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, etc. And then there's a Supreme Court order that favors the gaming companies and so on, right? I mean, so this gray area has been happening for a while, right? But I don't think regulation like this is a great way to do things, because it's also very harmful signaling, right? Because it signals to investors that, hey, you can let an industry, maybe prosper for 10 or 15 years and then come down really hard on it, right?
Like Alibaba in China.
Yeah, I mean, something of that sort, right? And you've seen what happened to the Chinese startup ecosystem after that, right? I mean, the total implosion. So I don't think that's the right way to do things. I mean, at least earlier, the 18% was on gross revenue, the platform fee that you mentioned, right? Now, if it is on full value, then any 100 rupees or 1,000 rupees or whatever it is that someone is betting or staking at the game or whatever it is you call it, right? I mean, 30 is gone instantly, right? And then over and above that, you have all of these different cuts where the company makes the cut and the player gets some cash and so on, right? Effectively, I mean, there's not much left, basically, right? So why would someone really, bet 100 or 1,000 or whatever it is they bet? Right? From that perspective, I feel that it's not a great move, right? The government should definitely seek to provide clarity and think about the entrepreneurs, right? I mean, you've built a business for as long, right? And now, it's instantly gone. So I think there's a better way to do this, right? The government should definitely liaise with the industry a lot more. Forget about FDI, right? I mean, I think 4 billion or something was supposed to come in for gaming. I don't think that is going to happen for sure, right? Yeah. I mean, by the way, I mean, I owned a bit of Delta Co-op some time back, right? They are down, I think, 25% in a week or so, right?
Imagine if that's your case. Imagine what Ashwini Grover will be feeling right now.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, third unicorn, not so soon, I suppose, right? Crazy, man. I mean, it's tough. It's really tough. And I do feel that, the government does a better job at, liaising with the industry, talking to people before they do stuff like this. Because think about the number of people that are affected. And yeah, I mean, the people make all kinds of moral arguments. Like I said, personally, I have reservations against this, right? I mean, I don't think it does any good to our youth to be addicted to stuff like this. And mind you, these games are addictive, right? There are arguments that, hey, cigarettes are allowed, alcohol is allowed and whatnot. But cigarettes and alcohol also is like taxed pretty heavily, right? As
and
one would
now Bangalore
know.
is going to increase taxes on alcohol by 20%.
Pretty crazy. I mean, already we have the highest, I suppose, right? It is taxed and it's not as prevalent. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not as prevalent as gaming, which is now on the mobile, and you have some of the smartest folks in the world trying to wire you into being addicted to something, right? So yeah, personal reservations aside, I feel on the regulatory front, this is bad, right? Government should definitely seek to provide clarity.
The buzz around generative AI has definitely not slowed down. Wipro has launched Wipro AI 360, which is an AI-first innovation ecosystem that integrates AI into every platform, tool, and solutions used internally and offered to clients. The company is also committed making a $1 billion investment in improving AI capabilities over the next 3 years. Now, to execute these goals, Wipro is going to train its employees with the fundamentals of AIs across functions and will be bringing together 30,000 data analytics and AI experts. And in the future, Wipro will extend support to tech startups through its accelerator program, Wipro Ventures. Now, what's interesting over here is when Sam Altman made the comment that, yeah, you can go ahead and try building your own stuff, let's see how far it goes. And that time, the question in my mind was that, okay, if someone was to build an AI first, infrastructure in the country, what sort of companies would it be? right? And the names that came to my mind was Wipro, was Infosys, and the likes, right? They established the first generation startups. And now we have on the news that Wipro is committing $1 billion in improving AI capabilities. I think that's massive.
Yeah, see, a lot of these companies have massive cash, right? Infi, TCS, Wipro, and so on. These are like money machines, and they have technical talent for sure. And more importantly, they know how to train huge masses of people, right? I mean, that's what they're so good at. And also, I think it's in their interest to sort of invest in AI automation, all of these things, right? Because, yeah, I mean, tomorrow, what if all of this stuff eliminates services, right? I mean, which is a very big probability, right? Machines can generate code, and you might require a few project managers in between to interface and get stuff done, right? In fact, Sidhu Ponappa, who we've had on the podcast earlier, is building one such startup right now, an AI startup that's going to make services, IT services work a lot more cheaper, faster, more efficient as well. So yeah, great work, and I hope that there's something tangible that comes out of this.
Okay, now the number of fundraisers that has been happening has really slowed down, right? I think last week, all in all, companies raised a total of $41 million. And the numbers are just going down lower and lower. I think it's the lowest we have been in the past 52 weeks. But still, some startups did raise a few checks. Smart Dukan, which is a smartphone retail chain, raised $10 million in a pre-Series A round of funding. Dwara KGFS, a fintech startup, also raised a similar amount. D2C brand Cleanstar has also raised $9.1 million in an early stage funding round. Now, it's interesting to see that the action in the early stage companies is still continuing. Hopefully, that growth stage companies will soon pick up pace. So, there's a very interesting excerpt of an article retweeted by Ashish Chandorkar, author of Braving a Viral Storm. It says that will India be the breakout emerging market of the decade? From Capital Group, one of the biggest and most prestigious money managers in the world, kind of justifies why India is in the right position at the right time to witness a significant growth in the coming years. Roshan, what's your take?
I think everyone should read that article, right? Again, the Capital Group is one of the biggest money managers in the world, and even Jeffries also had to say some good things about India. And this is despite all of the BS democracy rankings and freedom and this and that that occasionally comes out, right? Ranking India lower than Pakistan or Somalia or whatever else. To that, I mean, I always say just follow the money, right? Investors obviously care a lot more about their money than anything else, right? And if they're willing to put their money in India, then it shows a positive sign, right? I mean, obviously, the last 10 years, we've had a stable government. We've had, very forward-thinking reforms. And of course, the Aadhaar, GST, UPI combo has really, really helped at scale. Now, all of this is fantastic, right? I mean, you look at stuff like manufacturing as well, now with PLIs and, the exports going up and so on, right? So overall, I think it's a very, very positive time from a business perspective in India. And of course, I mean, you can't discount the geopolitics, right? Everyone is adopting this China plus one kind of a strategy. And so India will stand to benefit. And, I hate to sound like a broken record, but yeah, hashtag Long India all the way. The 2020s and 2030s are going to be a damn interesting time for all of us. And if you're a young person at this point of time, you hit the jackpot, really.
But tell me this, like the general elections are coming up next year, right? There's some risk into all the progress that we have made. Now, of course, for as a country to capitalize on this, there has to be the momentum needs to continue, right? But hey, there's a chance that this momentum might break.
A lot of things are secular, right? I mean, of course, I do hope that the Modi government returns, and we have another stable 5 years in the country, and we don't end up in like a coalition of sorts. I mean, those of you who are old enough to remember will remember the 90s and the time before the 2004, right? I mean, it was a very fractious time, right? So I do hope we have a stable government at the center in 2024 as well. But even if not, some of these are very, very secular trends, right? I mean, the geopolitics stuff which I mentioned, right? I mean, China plus one is a reality right now. And the fact that, a bunch of these schemes and so on, unless, God forbid, someone, takes a wrecking ball to some of these things, stuff like cleaning up the whole banking sector, right? I mean, you have to F up at an insane level for us to, not do well, right? And let's hope, we don't elect someone who does that, right? So, yeah, I mean, growth all the way, and positive optimism all the way, I suppose.
Yeah, interesting times ahead,
For
unless
sure.
you're in the gaming industry. All right, Roshan, before we wrap this up, any conversations lined up? For
Yeah,
the
so we have KD Srinivasan, who's a very experienced CMO. She is now at Lightspeed, and I got to hear her talk at one of the Sequoia events some time back, and I was really fascinated by her insights and views. So yeah, this is going to be a marketing masterclass of sorts. She's focused more on the enterprise side of things, so that's something that I want to bring out and understand a lot more. But overall, fantastic episodes coming up in the next couple of weeks, I should say.
Awesome. Folks, if you have any questions for our speakers, please tweet them to us. Our Twitter handle is at Operator Startup. On LinkedIn, you can find us at the Startup Operator. Do let us know how we are doing by rating on your favorite podcast platform. And if you want to discover more similar content on startup, like what we talk about, do like this video so that the algorithms will recommend more similar videos to you. Until then, I guess have a great week, and we'll be back again with more exciting news next week. Take
See you
care.
guys. Cheers.